Ukraine is gaining back more territory as Russian forces pull away from the country's northeast region.
Ukraine's military is claiming that it has retaken towns all the way back to the Russian border. It's a lightning-fast counteroffensive centered on the second largest city. That would be Kharkiv. Since the start of September, the military says it has reclaimed an area about the size of Rhode Island, an area that had been under Russian control.
Former U.S. Army Brigadier General Peter Zwack joins us now. He's also a global fellow at the Wilson Center. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Peter. Now, can you walk us through what the latest on Ukraine's counteroffensive is in that northeastern region, please?
Yes. Good afternoon. What is happening is frankly immensely consequential. The Ukrainian military, the nation, has pulled together its capabilities. It's used intelligence, smart application of force, initiative to identify vulnerability in the Russians in this area near Kharkiv, the second largest city, and have surprised the Russians. Remembering, if you look at a map, that you have three major battlefronts right now: the Kharkiv area, and then you have the eastern Ukraine, where a lot of Russians are, and then in the south, where a lot of Russians were deployed to protect against a possible Ukrainian counterattack, much publicized, leaving the area Kharkiv up in the north in the purple, poorly defended. And the Ukrainians have remarkably turned the tables. They have to be careful, though, because in this rather remarkable push, they have to be careful of overextending and, as such, making themselves vulnerable to a possible Russian counterattack. No, this is really quite something.
Wow. General, as the only one in this conversation with a general star and a knowledge of military tactics, I mean, when I hear about this lightning-fast counteroffensive and I see the map and how much territory has been taken back, and you think about the resources that the Russian country has behind its military, is this the kind of counteroffensive that in war colleges is going to be studied and lessons taken from in the years ahead?
Absolutely. This does not mean the end of the war, okay? But we were all really just stunned in a positive way of what happened around Kyiv during the initial part of the war in March and April. And this, again, a remarkable push. Now we're seeing months later, after this awful grinding fight in eastern Ukraine, where people were very worried about the Ukrainians having, if you will, the initiative and the moxie to find, through good intelligence and good planning, a major seam in the Russian defense, and this will be studied. But I caution, this is not the end of the war, and bad things happen, but this is, look at the flag being put up there.
Yeah.
It has also given the Ukrainian people huge spirit and pride, and it shows the world that Ukraine is in for the long run. They're going to fight.
General, it sounds like you're saying that the tactics on display in this northeastern region of the country would not necessarily translate one-to-one to the battles in other parts of the country. Do I hear that right?
Well, every military environment scenario is different. But the Ukrainians, what they have, meaning that in the south, in Kherson, that we've all been reading, along the Black Sea, the Russians have had time to dig in. They're not that strong, but they've dug in. But in the area around, and in the Donbass, eastern Ukraine, there's a lot of artillery cannons and a lot of entrenched troops. But here in the Kharkiv area, the Russians used it as a bill payer to reinforce Donbass and reinforce the south. The Ukrainians saw it and they balanced it out, identified it, and this will be studied because it's all about initiative, momentum, and now what do the Ukrainians do with this? becomes very, very important. And the last point is this has put major disruption inside the Kremlin and inside Russia. And a lot of finger pointing going on. And in an autocratic, authoritarian regime, finger pointing can make if you will, things very, very brittle internal as well.
Right. And you can't forget motivation. I mean, what drives these Ukrainian soldiers versus what drives the Russians? The images really are inspiring. They're, they resonate, victory, even though they're not there, certainly a peace compared to everything that we've been seeing since the beginning of this war. But, you got to consider, too, what drives either of them.
Peter Zwack.
Exactly. Mental and morale is so important. The Ukrainians have a lot of it. Russians inside Ukraine they've got major problems. They don't want to be there, most of the troops.
Right. Yeah.
Running when they can.
Former U.S. Army Brigadier General Peter Zwack, that's his prior. His current is a global fellow at the Wilson Center. General, thank you very much.
All the best. All the best. Cheers.